Hello and good morning. It's Friday, the 29th of April, 2022. My name is Steve Pugh, and every Friday morning I do a bit of a live stream, kind of Q&A type thing here on LinkedIn Live, but I also broadcast on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and lots of other kind of channels as well. If we don't know each other, my name's Steve Pugh and I'm a management consultant based out of the northeast of England. I have a business course called the Roadmap Mba, which looks a little bit something like this. And basically what we do is teach the real world skills to help you grow your business or career. And the way that we do that is to make business education accessible in a way to take really kind of big, complicated concepts that often can be quite overwhelming at first when you kind of first want to look at, say, business strategy. What is it? How does it work? All the way through to your personal brand, your aims, goals, and ambitions, marketing, sales, leadership, management, and even kind of finance as well, to really help give you the broad base of skills across your whole kind of width of career. That is to give everyone that baseline to really help you grow or turn around the business, or likewise for your career. Often most of us are kind of technical specialists. We get really, really good at one thing. And actually, if you ever want to start your own business or progress to a more senior kind of position, the more you actually understand about things like finance and sales and marketing and why that's really important to kind of your business, I guarantee it will really kind of help you move forward. So one of the things that we've never seen before is actually someone bring all that stuff into one kind of place, and we do it quite literally into a single book. So this is 252 pages, but it's supported by podcasts and live streams and a website and videos to cover every kind of single kind of concept. But the other big thing as well is that we basically break stuff down to almost that you can learn within 2 minutes or 2 hours, because actually we know and respect that you just don't have time, and a lot of people just don't want to read into a 400-page book on sales, for instance. But actually, if we can distill that down into kind of just a few paragraphs, a few pages, into the really kind of good stuff, it helps you progress and learn, but without all of the overwhelm and stuff going on, which actually might otherwise kind of, you've got more interesting kind of things to do. So every Friday morning, I do a bit of a live stream and I pick out a few different things to kind of talk about throughout the week. I also discuss kind of some of my journey and stuff that I've done this week, just because hopefully that just makes it interesting and you'll see progression over kind of time. And the 3 topics I'm going to talk about today, one is actually how to quit your job well. I've got a lot of friends who've moved on from different companies, or they want to start up their own thing, or they have started up their own thing, but both from an employee perspective and the company perspective, I think there are ways that you can quit your job well that actually, it's a win-win for everyone, because again, not every job is right for every person. So I think there are things that we can kind of talk about there which could be quite interesting, but I guarantee it's not aimed at one particular person or one group of people. I actually know quite a few people who've switched jobs or started their own thing recently, so I just wanted to kind of talk about that. The next is actually how to improve your YouTube videos. If anyone is watching this who actually is on kind of YouTube, I've been doing stuff wrong. Well, not wrong, but I could have been doing it better. And that was something that someone pointed out to me, which I've made some changes, which I'm going to talk about as well. And then last but not least, today I'm going to talk about how to grow your business sustainably. There's lots of stuff that people do to help grow their business and stuff that people kind of talk about. But often people get confused between short-term kind of sales activation, stuff to get money in quickly. But what that doesn't do is allow you to build momentum over time, which is actually a really kind of big thing, that it doesn't matter how long you're in business for, unless you actually build some sort of brand and momentum and customer base and stuff like that, that keeps improving, even if it's only very slowly over time. That's actually what you want to kind of do. It's often, easy to get caught up into the trap to just spend money on short-term sales activation to get money in quickly without actually looking at the bigger picture. So I'm going to kind of talk about that as well. So it's 9:03 here in the UK. What have I been up to this week? I did a really great interview with a lady called Sophie Cross on Monday. So Sophie is the founder and editor of Freelancer magazine. We had a really kind of good chat about the challenges that different people face, about the magazine, the Kickstarter that she did. And it also turned out that through conversation that she's actually used to play basketball at university, which is obviously my kind of sports. That was a really nice kind of coincidence. But just a really lovely lady who's very honest about her journey and the stuff that kind of people go through. So definitely kind of recommend that. That's on YouTube. If you're going to search for Roadmap Mba, hopefully it'll kind of come up. And then likewise on the 9th of May, My next guest is a chap called Flanagan, who's a really inspiring guy, very into his fitness, talks openly about mental health and stuff. So that we've got a bank holiday here in the UK on Monday coming up, so there won't be one next week, but the week after is my next kind of podcast interview. And yeah, I love it when people kind of join them, and no matter if you discover it in 2 years' time or whenever, I still love when people kind of comment and get involved and that kind of thing as well. Okay, so the aim of the kind of Friday sessions is that I talk about some stuff which is hopefully quite kind of interesting. No matter where you are in the world, I'd love it if you just let me know, send me a quick message. This is live, so actually it is 9:05 now. And actually, because of that, one of the big things that we talk about is that whenever you want to grow your business or career, it's very rare that actually it's all done in one go, if that makes sense. Often successful businesses and careers are actually built 1,000 tiny steps at a time. And one of the big things that's really important to kind of celebrate is those smaller wins, because it can sometimes feel that you're not making progress. When the truth is you are, you just need to keep going. And some of the things that I kind of like to talk about. I think it was last week's live stream, I actually talked about how it's really important to do competitor research. And this was to actually kind of look at, blank sheet of paper. Who else do you actually compete with? What do they do? How do they work? And almost the more you can discover about the market and different competitors, you can actually find things which almost either give you information so that you can pivot to stay ahead of the game, or give you confidence that what you're doing is correct. But the other thing that we always talk about, which is the whole essence, I guess, of a live stream, is actually the fact that don't be afraid to talk about it, talk about your journey and talk about the stuff that you've kind of been on. Because actually one of the things that I did the actual live stream, but I also wrote a social post on LinkedIn to do with why I believe it's important to kind of research your competitors. And in the kind of piece, I talked about the two platforms that I'd been using. One was Crunchbase, and the other one was called dealroom.co. And what was quite funny was that in the piece, it was obviously very kind of complimentary about why I thought it was a good idea. But I also tagged the guys in it from both companies. So the company, from each. And what was quite funny was that I had a few conversations with some of the guys in Amsterdam from Deal Room yesterday, because they'd seen the post. And it's one of those things that every business, you never know where things are going to go or how they're going to develop or how things are going to evolve over time. But we all probably know the right things to do. It's just a case of doing them. And what I kind of love is that when you put all this time and effort into doing your live streams and doing stuff, when it actually starts to pay off, it's quite kind of cool. And I think fitness is a really good example of things that we all know. If you want to get into better shape, we all kind of know what to do. It's actually just a case of actually kind of doing them. One of the big things that I used to be a sucker for was McDonald's. And don't get me wrong, I still love a McDonald's. But actually McDonald's breakfasts in particular were one of my weak points. And even this morning, I thought, do I go out and do I get one or do I not? And I decided to stay in the office, and I had some Alpen. So it was like I don't even know what technically category granola it kind of falls into. But the point is, we all know that if we're trying to lose weight or trying to get into shape, there's things that we should do which will help us get to where we want to be. And that's no different in business. We all actually kind of know what we need to do. And the roadmap is there to hopefully give you confidence that what you need to do is this. And then you can kind of follow quite literally the roadmap, the steps to do it. But also when it works, it really kind of, it's brilliant. And then we've got a few things going on with that. But it was just one of my wins from the week that I wanted to kind of hopefully talk about, which is quite cool. The other thing which I'll mention, and you might see it pop up on the screen, is that you can win 2 tickets to come and see Ed Sheeran in Sunderland in June. So if you don't know who Ed Sheeran is, don't enter. But actually, I bought 6 tickets, so 2 for me and my wife, 2 for kind of clients, and then 2 purposely for this kind of giveaway. So it's the 3rd of June. You will need to be able to make your own way to Sunderland, but if you follow any of the Roadmap Mba channels on any of the platforms, that will enter you into the competition, and then basically we'll kind of take it from there. Okay, so I'm going to get a quick sip of tea. If you do want to send me a question or anything, just drop it in the comments. It will pop up on the screen. I will answer it or do the best I can, and then I will crack on. Okay. How's everyone's week been? The other thing which I wanted to mention actually is that you've probably seen Ashley King, who started to present her own show in the same studio. We're doing it twice a month at the moment. And it's really funny because this is really hard to do, to actually just stand and talk to a camera and talk about different topics and try and talk eloquently about different stuff. But one of the things I'm very conscious of is that with, as a white middle-aged man, not everyone cares about what I want to think. I will only resonate with a certain demographic. That likewise, part of the business longer term goal is about making business education accessible. That Ashley's viewpoint and background and story is so different to mine, but in a really kind of positive way. And it's almost like kind of celebrating and championing different types of diversity and viewpoints and stuff is why we're kind of doing it. I am hopefully over time going to add some more guest presenters as well, but it's that kind of slowly evolve. I know it's the right thing to do. It's just difficult to find the right people that can actually do it, if that makes sense. But it's one of my kind of challenges. But yeah, so Ashley does every other Tuesday on this channel, which hopefully you might find interesting. Okay, I'm going to do the first one because I think it's the most topical one on how to quit your job well. So most of us know how to quit your job. It sounds really silly. You see sometimes, you know, it's the really funny stuff you see online where someone will send a sorry I'm leaving card to the boss, or that they find something witty to do. But you know, as you kind of get a little bit into your career, one of the things that you rarely realize is super, super important is reputation. So it's that balance of actually, you know, no matter where you go next or whatever you do next, as long as you kind of stay on people's radar, people will have that opinion of you that either stays and it's either positive or negative. But actually there's so much value in that, that actually if you do certain moves badly, it can really affect your long-term kind of credibility, and that's so kind of important. So what I wanted to do, as I mentioned before, is just talk about the topics. I've had a lot of friends move jobs recently. Some of the companies that I work with, we've had people leave and then they're coming back. But actually, there's so much nuance to it that I think is really important to kind of talk about. And again, this isn't aimed at any particular person or group. It's just a general theme of different stuff that, like if you're ever looking to quit your job or do a career change or whichever, these are some things to kind of consider. Okay, the first one is take your time. You actually see this quite a lot where something could happen within your business. Maybe someone else gets a promotion or something, and actually you get really pissed off and you're angry and you think, fuck this, I'm gonna quit, and you hand your notice in. There's a lot of problems with that it's understandable that you might be annoyed. But one of the issues on a completely selfish point of view is actually to always keep in mind what you always want the best for you. You always want your next best move. And often a rash, quick decision, it's very difficult to find that dream move straight away, if that makes sense. So the point is, even if you're unhappy in your job, yes, start to look around. Yes, start to do all the good stuff, which I'm going to kind of talk about. But actually don't rush into it, because what you don't want to do is leave job one, jump into job two, and you're there for like 2 months. And then actually the job you actually wanted comes up. But then on your CV, you will have jumped twice within like 3 months. And, you know, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't look right. So the point is, take your time, actually really kind of figure out what is it that makes you happy. One of the things that I've really kind of noticed as well, and I discovered it probably about 5 years ago, is that one of the things that really kind of makes me happy is the creative side of my job. It's when almost I'm allowed to kind of flourish and try different things. And even if it doesn't go well, that's really kind of important to me. If you would have asked me 15 years ago, it would have been about what's the biggest salary and what's the best job title. And actually what's quite funny is that from a personal point of view, it's still important to do that kind of thing. So if you ever want to be managing director of a company, it's great to kind of do that and experience it and almost get the chip off your shoulder. But when you evolve to the next stage still, it's actually so much more important to just do something you really enjoy. It's something that I wanted to kind of talk about. And then likewise, I was on a call yesterday with a chap that's kind of 57. So he's kind of 20 years further into his career than I am. And again, you get to the point where you've kind of paid off your mortgage, you've done everything you wanted to do, then you can just pick and choose the stuff that you really want to do and that you enjoy doing. But you don't actually have to wait until you're 57 to do that. And again, what you can also do, and we talk about in the course, is something called Ikigai, which is basically how we can align your passions to what you're good at, to what people will pay you for, to really help you get that next perfect career move. But again, this comes back to the first one of actually kind of take your time to really figure out what it is that you want to do. The next one is be honest. And that goes for both with yourself, you know, be honest about what is it that you actually want. Be honest with the new employer. So likewise, if you're looking for a role for a particular reason, just be honest with them, talk to them as a normal person. You know, that's the way to get the best kind of, you know, relationship. And actually, one of the big things that I've got to say is that if you ever do interview somewhere, be very careful about criticizing your former employer. There will always be niggles and things that have happened that kind of aren't perfect. But don't just start slating them, because the issue is, as an employer, it would always make you second guess. You're going to say this about me? How nice a person are you? So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot through being too critical of the former place, but there are ways that you can tactfully still kind of do that. The other one as well is almost be honest with your current employer. Prime example, so that if you are in a job and actually maybe the career progression isn't what you hoped, rather than letting that build up inside you and almost get pent up to the point where you then quit and walk out, never be afraid to talk to your boss and actually say, look, you know, I really hope that in my role when I join the company, there'll be more progression. Is there anything we can look at? Are there any more projects that I can help take on to help with my progression? Is there anything I can do to help with the business moving forward? Because I'm not really feeling challenged at the moment, and I really want to help out and progress, and just I wanted to have a conversation around that. The point is, through being honest with all three parties, even if you've kind of got your heart set on leaving, it might be that an opportunity comes up which is perfect for you, which is the kind of the dream to kind of go for. Or when it does come the day where actually you do hand your notice in and leave, they'll hopefully understand why you're doing it. But again, the honesty around that approach will actually go down really well. That most business owners are entrepreneurs by their very kind of nature, that they get that realistically at some point in their career, they made the same move. So often they might actually respect you more through being honest and wanting to do that. But again, the last one then comes down to ethics. Your ethics about how you act around a job move is super important, because that comes to the really important one, which is reputation. Because your reputation, rightly or wrongly, will stick with you until you retire, or even after you retire. It's what people know you for and how you act. And I can almost, you know, I vouch for this 100% firsthand. Those people I worked with 10, 15 years ago that were not nice people, they're not great. And basically, that reputation has stuck, that now, should someone say to me, actually, this guy, John, that you're connected with LinkedIn, I can see you used to work with him. Should we employ him? Is he a good guy? Whatever. And the point is, if I think someone's got a bad reputation and they're not a good fit, I'm not going to recommend them. That actually none of us really kind of know where we're going to be in 5, 6, 10, 20 years. That actually you've got nothing to lose to quitting your job well, if that makes sense. My name's Steve Pugh. If you catch this on YouTube, please kind of like and subscribe for more business and careers kind of related content. If you catch this on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or any of the other kind of live platforms, please kind of send me a message. I'd love to kind of interact. And yeah, I'm going to move on to the next one. There we go. There we go. So it's 9:18 now here. I have a board meeting at 10 o'clock. So I'm not rattling through it. I've got time, but it's one of the things that when everyone has a kind of busy schedule, how do you kind of just fit stuff in? But I do love it when people get involved in the comments just to say hello and that kind of thing as well. Okay, next. So next I'm going to jump on to how to improve your YouTube videos. So this actually could be quite interesting, because I have in theory made videos for about 10, 15 years. And it's, you know, I know how to physically make the video. I know how to do stuff, but actually, true story. So I was reached out to a chap on LinkedIn. It might have actually been, it was on LinkedIn. so he could even watch this. And he highlighted to me, he was from Bangladesh, basically about YouTube SEO, and actually could he do that service for me? And I was honest with him and I said, actually, I don't know what it is. So I did my homework, and again, what was quite funny is that he wanted obviously to sell me his service, but I wanted to do my own homework just to kind of learn exactly what it is. So this was just yesterday I was kind of doing this, and again, it was really interesting. I'm going to keep this as a super short segment, but it might be kind of interesting. The first thing you really want to look at is your headline. You will have noticed that all of my topics that I talk about today are actually questions, because I realized, and this is true, that when people use YouTube as the world's second largest search engine, it's quite rare that they actually type in just a title of a topic. They normally ask questions. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is how to improve my YouTube videos, how to quit your job, how to grow my business sustainably. It's that subtle tweak that actually what we're starting to do on the kind of SEO front is starting to look at the title. Because actually, but phrase it in a way, what do people kind of actually search for? You got your thumbnail. So your thumbnail is really important for something that you kind of, it's what gets people's attention. Truth be told, for a long time, I didn't pay that much attention to it just because I physically make the videos and I've got a lot of other stuff going on. But actually, I'm trying to put a little bit more effort in to do that, but it's something that's kind of important. But the next one, which I'm going to talk about, is something called TubeBuddy. So there are actually lots of tools that you can use to almost find keywords on kind of videos. This was one that I found when I was kind of searching through YouTube, and what it essentially does, same as like hashtags, when you have topics and tags and different stuff in relation to different videos, it almost helps tell Google and therefore YouTube what the video is about, so that if you're interested in a certain topic, it could be business, it could be sales, it could be strategy, it could be YouTube, it knows to send people towards it. This was something that I had some kind of generic tags built in on YouTube. Every time you upload a video, you can like bulk upload the same stuff so that it kind of does a lot of the work for you. But the truth is I wasn't tailoring it for each video, so I wasn't really kind of doing it. This thing called TubeBuddy allows you to see everyone else's channel, what do they do, but then likewise, if there's a really popular channel, it could be like a Gary Vee business channel, you can actually see all of the tags and stuff that they had on their videos and quite literally copy them and then put them on yours. And what you're essentially doing is starting to actually link more traffic to your stuff in a way that I just wasn't doing this. And the other one is in your description. So this is the main kind of body of text that goes with the videos. I'll be honest with this one as well, I used to kind of just leave it as generic promotion for the roadmap. I wasn't even really tailoring it. And that was a mistake, because essentially YouTube is looking for that. And the thing that I also learned yesterday on a video on YouTube was actually it even tracks the speech and what you talk about to make sure that the words that come out of your mouth also talk about the stuff that you're talking about. So it all kind of lines up. And it was just really interesting that basically when you're looking to grow and get traction on the world's kind of global stage to help promote and talk about stuff, there was so much stuff that I was putting all this effort into the visuals on video and audio and different stuff, but actually nobody was able to find it because of the way that I was doing it. It was almost just, it was a subtle win, which almost, kind of rarely kind of helps. And the other thing which I need to kind of look through, I've mentioned before about click-through rate. So your click-through rate is massively important. Basically, it's for every 100 people that YouTube shows your thumbnail to, how many people click on it? And if it's below 10, it kind of, you die a death. But if you get it high as possible, it knows to show it to more people, which is really important. One of the reasons that I disagree with this is almost that now when you go onto YouTube, a lot of it is like clickbaity, where it makes you want to click on it so they get high click-through rate. But actually, that's not the content that I want to create, so I haven't really kind of done that. And the other one is your watch time, particularly as a percentage, because one of the things that I've also learned, and it's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do quicker segments, is that YouTube does track how much of your video do people actually watch. So that if you do an hour-long podcast and people only watch the first 2 minutes, that's not great. Is where if you make a 2-minute video and people watch 2 minutes, actually it does quite well. So even your length of your videos and trying to be brief and to the point and snappy and stuff, all of this stuff really helps to help boost your YouTube videos. It's all stuff that I'm going to kind of tweak and build into my kind of setup. That yes, compared to professional YouTubers that all they do all day every day is create content, they can like nail this. I'm busy, I have a business to run, so I can't do all of it. But actually, since learning about it, there are little tips and tweaks and stuff that I want to incorporate myself. I will let you know how I get on. Again, if you catch this on YouTube or whichever, please kind of like and subscribe. And again, I'd love to know in the comments if you ever kind of been involved with SEO, or do you have a channel, what things did work for you, that kind of thing. I'd also kind of love to know. Okay. So last but not least is something I wanted to kind of talk about. And it's almost how, as a business owner, can you grow your business sustainably? One of the biggest challenges, and it's also probably one of the biggest frustrations that people kind of go through, is that it's really hard work and you put all this effort in to kind of get something off the ground and get traction. But then as soon as you take your foot off the gas, it dies off again. And then you kind of work really hard and do stuff and all your lead actions and the things that you really know that you should do. But again, as soon as you slow down, it dies again. And part of the reason is it's basically you're not building momentum, you're not investing in the right areas. But what I wanted to talk about is how can we do that to really help build momentum, to really help you kind of grow your business sustainably, so that when you can take a week off or whichever, you maintain the momentum and you can actually grow over time. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about is actually from page 92 on the course. So this is actually to an investment, because one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about is that for most people, if you're in a business, especially if it's a small business or a freelancer, almost what you put in terms of your time and effort is almost directly equivalent to the amount of money that you get out at the end. So if you work 2 hours a week, you get paid the equivalent of 2 hours a week. And that's how a lot of people run a small business, where actually what they're doing is they're doing lots of different stuff and they're trying to speak to the old customer. And actually what happens is they put a bit of effort in, but then it dies off again. And then like, oh, we're not really making any progress. And then they might do it again. And I think a lot of people really get frustrated and they almost give up because actually they don't feel like they're making progress. One of the most important things for any kind of small business owner is just to feel, no matter how slowly, that you're actually just building your machine, building your business over time, making progress on stuff. Because essentially the more you can invest into the business, it becomes your flywheel that basically multiplies your effort. So what I wanted to do here, so this is you. So that one and that one. If you're able to, and it won't be straight away, but in terms of your business, invest in it, what you're able to do is look at your processes, branding, staff development, I guess. And what we're essentially starting to look at is where can we invest capital into your business that will have a lasting effect far beyond the quick sales activation? Does that make sense? And basically what we're trying to look at is how do we build this flywheel that gets momentum and gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger, that over time your business will grow and hopefully achieve what it is that you want to do. But how to actually know what to kind of invest in. So the first thing that I wouldn't say, a lot of people look at quick wins, and this is how you might take your existing company brand, everything that you currently have, and put an advert in the newspaper. And that's great because you might get a blip for the life of the time that the newspaper is out. But actually, as soon as that newspaper goes in the recycling, you've basically lost your quick win. So one of the things that you really want to kind of look at is that and you absolutely should do your ad spend and your different stuff to really help do that. There's a lot of science on this, but basically you want to split your spend 40-60 between different things. So put 40% of your money, your marketing spend, into short-term sales activation, which is your special offers, your McDonald's 99p double cheeseburger, etc. These are all your kind of quick wins to help get sales, but actually put 60% into your brand building. So as a prime example, when I launched Roadmap version 2, I incorporated the new brand, which is this, and it's also what you see on the screen, and I've got some other kind of stuff coming through. So although that had quite a high upfront one-off cost, it will almost help me build the flywheel so that when I want to go to in the future, it was money well spent. I could have actually spent the same money just on adverts on Facebook or whichever, but it wouldn't help me build a long-term sustainable business. So it's all about actually what do you really kind of look at to help you grow. The other one as well, which is here, it's investing in your systems and processes. There's a prime example just in this room. When I first started when the pandemic kind of hit and I first started to live stream, it was in my spare bedroom at home. And what I used to do was every single time set up all the cameras, set up all the lights, do it. And the quality wasn't very good, but it would probably take me half a day just to set up. And then another few hours to back down. As we're now, okay, I've spent a lot more money on, but actually I have this set up 24 hours a day that I've won back that half a day a week, which actually improves my efficiency. I have a much better machine now that I'm starting to grow than I didn't have before. But it was because I was able to invest in processes or systems or anything which basically save me time or allow me to do more for that kind of very same kind of reason. It could be that you are a baker and your current oven, if you bake from home, can do 20 cakes. And the setup time might take you an hour to do and then an hour to bake, and you get 20 cakes at the end of it. Maybe if you invest in a slightly bigger oven, you could do 60 cakes for the same amount of effort. The idea is that actually, as the business owner, there are all the things that you could think, oh, I've got a delivery of 200 cakes to do for this wedding. How do I do it? It's going to take you 10 hours because you need to do it one at a time. But actually, strategic investment will allow you to grow the kind of business. Look, it doesn't matter what you do. There are ways and means of things to actually grow and gradually build momentum. Because actually, the more you can do that, that's often where you feel like you're progressing. And that's essentially what the bigger game of business is that yes, you can be a freelancer and earn a quick pound today, but probably at some point you might want to exit the business or just do less or earn more money or whichever. And it's that right balance between investing in your own stuff and really kind of working on your own business and really helping to grow it, or taking the easier option to kind of not look to properly invest in the right way in what you do. But actually it will probably hurt you in the long run because, as in this example, you're not really building any value, any inertia in the business, which will really kind of help you long time. I would love to know in the comments, has this ever happened to you? Is there anything that you really kind of spent money on or invested in that really made a massive difference to your kind of business? For me, the studio setup was a really kind of great spend. The brand, again, was expensive, but it's really helping me reach that next level. That there's always things that actually the easy option is not to spend the money because you're worried about will you earn money in the future. But the truth is you'll never achieve or make a really big business if you don't look to actually invest and really kind of do this as well. And the trick is to make it sustainable is the fact that it's to not put all your money into your sales activation, which is great at first if you have a scalable kind of product. But the point is, as soon as you take your foot off the gas, that momentum stops or slows down. And what we're looking to is find the right balance on both. So my name is Steve Pugh. It's 9:33. I think I'm going to call it quits there. Have a wonderful weekend if I don't kind of see you. We got a bank holiday in the UK, so I've got some stuff to kind of finish and that kind of thing. But, best of luck with everything. If you ever need anything at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch. The Roadmap MBA, if you check out roadmapmba.com, all of the information is kind of on there. And then likewise, don't forget about the chance to win Ed Sheeran tickets. Basically, it's follow any of the channels at Roadmap MBA on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and a few others as well. So have a wonderful weekend. Look after yourself. Good luck with everything. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Okay, cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.